Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Young Lawyer Podcast. For all those newbies listening in, this podcast discusses topics such as studying law, mental states, mindsets, dealing with external factors, and unexpected circumstances. Along the way, having guest speakers such as senior associates, graduate lawyers, and students. Now let's get into it.
Welcome to the Young Lawyer Podcast. It's great to have you on. If you can just start by introducing yourself and how you began your legal journey.
Yeah, I'm Warren Bennett. I'm the Principal Director of WKB TPD Lawyers. I began my legal journey in 2011, actually. I was a bank worker working in the complaints team, so I was dealing with a lot of banking and finance legislation and very angry clients, customers wanting their dishonor fee refunded or, and the like. That's when I sort of thought, oh, well, maybe I should try and upskill. And that's when lawyering become very interesting to me, because I used to deal with in-house legal a fair bit in terms of other matters within the complaints team. So I pursued a law degree, and I deliberately chose University of Southern Queensland because it was online. And the reason why I did that was because I did a lot of research prior and talked to some people, and they basically said that you need experience. And I was an older law student, so I didn't actually finish school and start law, straight from year 12. I actually started law school, in my early 30s. So I come into law relatively late. And what I did was I enrolled online and did it full time over about 2.5 years, and then also applied for legal assistant jobs, paralegal jobs, and quite unsuccessful in Brisbane, and it led me to Sydney actually. In 2012, I moved to Sydney and started working for the bigger law firms down there, and that's when I fell into TPD. And ever since then, that's all I've been doing is TPD. And now in the last 1.5 years, I've been running a law firm just practicing exclusively in TPD insurance claims.
Yeah, that's such an interesting story to change up, to go from, customer banking, dealing with all the complaints and whatnot, to actually going over to TPD law, of all things too.
Yeah. Yeah, not many people do TPD law.
So before we touch on that, I guess, as when you were younger, did you really have any interest in law, or even, I guess, touched on it at school, or just, you kind of fell into it as you progressed and thought, maybe this is an opportunity for me?
No, actually, in school I was a big basketball fan. I guess I had the far-fetched idea that I would be an NBA player, 5'10" and 60 kilos at the time. Wasn't always going to work out that way, but no, actually, law was the last thing on my mind during school, and even in my early 20s, actually. I didn't actually have an interest till I started working at the Bank of Queensland and dealing with the in-house legal team and learning the legislation and the banking code of practice from there. And that's when it all sparked for me that, I really like this and I really want to get into this and be a lawyer. So yeah, no, definitely nothing like that when I was at school.
Do you feel like maybe if you did try it at that stage, it probably wouldn't have been as enjoyable? Is it, the fact that you actually took it at that stage in your life when you were, looking for that change, that actually helped you in that position?
Absolutely. I don't think I would have completed the law degree had I have enrolled in after school. I just wasn't ready to study. I think it was just the combination of going through school and hanging out with my basketball mates that never really made me want to study at all. I don't think if I actually went into law school, as an 18, 19-year-old, I don't know if I'd be a lawyer today, to be honest. I think it was more the life experience and I guess more mature, I could probably say, being ready to actually take that leap and study law and work full time at that same time.
Yeah, that's so true. And I guess that's pretty common for most people I've spoken with, or in and out of the podcast, is that when you're that age, you've come out of school and you really don't know what you want to do, and you got to really find yourself and find what you're actually passionate for and what you enjoy in life.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It took a while, but yeah, got there. Although when I was young, I always wanted to be a businessman. I remember as a six-year-old having all my stationery and my books and interested in business. And I guess that's sort of come, to fruition in the last year and a half. So I have, I guess, hit a goal in my early years.
Yeah, that's such a, I guess, interesting point to, be so young and have such a high goal. Because most people, kids, they want to be astronauts, they want to be firemen, these
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
what's the word? Big famous, well, not famous, but like have a,
Actor or
yeah,
something
like
like that, or
yeah,
famous star, singer.
yeah, like a hero role kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
common. Your police, your doctors.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty rare to find someone go at such a young age. Oh, no, I'm going to be a businessman.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my parents remind me to this day after I started my law firm. Do you remember when you were 6 years old, you had a fascination that you always wanted to be a businessman? And it was like, oh, yeah, I didn't remember that actually. My glue pen and everything like that, So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So I guess what influenced you to change and helped you along your journey to get where you are today?
I guess it was more when I was at the bank, I, got this sudden idea that I wanted to be a lawyer, and that's what interests me in it. And furthermore, it interests me in helping people. I've always been a bit plaintiff orientated and wanting to help people. And I thought it was a very fascinating career to actually undergo, quite technical. And, you also, besides your customer service skills, you needed to have a very technical mindset in your area of law. And I thought, let's do it, Warren. Let's give it a go and see how you go. And it was pretty hard in my first year. I was sort of adjusting to full-time study and then learning a legal assistant role in a big firm. It was a big adjustment, but it really just come about from working at the Bank of Queensland and just wanting to further myself and motivate myself and get to where I am today.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And with the whole plaintiff support side, is that how it kind of led you down the TPD track?
Yeah, well, not really, to be honest. I don't know about, I know other lawyers and stuff, but I actually applied for anything and everything. In Brisbane, it was criminal law, it was property law, it was, commercial law, family law. And, I couldn't really get anywhere. And I got my foot in the door in a personal injury firm that had a TPD spot there. And that's how I fell into it. But obviously I love it, and I do love it. And I love the satisfaction of getting people a couple of $100,000 or more to pay off their mortgage or to set themselves up on an income stream for the rest of their lives so they don't have to worry about money and just concentrate on their recovery. But yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I guess a lot of people are in similar circumstances where they're, coming out of law school, doing your PLT, then actually going into the law firm. No one really knows what area they want to work in until they actually get into the area that they actually enjoy.
That's right. Absolutely. And for me, I fell into TPD, and that's all I've ever done. But mind you, before I was a lawyer, I did attempt to try and move over to the work cover side, but I was unsuccessful in that. And then I just thought I would, stick to TPD law, and I've just gone full pelt since then. But yeah, you're right. I know people that still don't know what they want to do. They've been lucky enough to practice in wills and family law and even, conveyancing. And they're like, well, I don't really know. I don't really like these areas of law. I don't really know what I want to do. So yeah, 100% agree.
Um, I guess what kind of setbacks did you face along your journey as either as a student, a lawyer, or now as your own director of your company?
Yeah. Um, the biggest setback I found was trying to get in the front door of a law firm. As I said before, I literally sent out hundreds of applications. Didn't hear a single thing back, got a couple of odd interviews here and there. And I guess that's the story of many law students, unless you hold a GPA of 6.9, where you can get in if you really want to get into the big four firms and do that type of area. But for me as an older student, and with a bit of experience in work, I still found it pretty hard, and I was sort of, I guess, a bit delusional. I thought it'd be pretty easy for someone a bit more mature to actually get a job, but it wasn't the case. And it actually made me move to Sydney to get that job. So it was pretty, I didn't have any children or anything like that. So I, went to pretty, I guess, in terms of people's standards, pretty, big lengths to move interstate and just drive my car down with my laptop and clothes and start working down there. But the biggest setback I found was trying to apply for jobs. And then when I actually got into that particular area, I didn't really realize how much, I guess, how can I put it? You as a paralegal or a legal assistant, every single bit of your work gets checked. Even a letter to, to an employer or something like that, please find attached employer statement, blah, blah, blah. That was one of my setbacks as well, having all my correspondence scrutinized. I won't lie there. I was a bit mature, but in hindsight, it was good because I realized that I actually wasn't really a good drafting. I wasn't really a good writer. So that helped me in a way, even though at the time I was quite a bit upset about getting these red pens back and changing things. And I always thought it was just suiting the senior associates, writing style. But in hindsight now, after being a lawyer for over 5 years, it's just been really, really good for me. And that at the time was a setback. I guess. For me, as a lawyer, I did try to, I guess, have a, get into, litigation and things like that within TPD. But again, I found it hard in Brisbane and went back to Sydney and worked in a smaller personal injury practice. And basically it was sink or swim. I was the man there. I had a legal assistant, and we built the TPD department up from 100 files to 260 files and had many litigated matters. So I, again, the move to Sydney, back in Brisbane now, but the move to Sydney was well worth it because I got a lot of experience, as compared if I was working at a big personal injury law firm, possibly doing complaints for the first 2 years of my PAE, if that makes sense. But yeah, that and starting the law firm, I started that with $12,000 in my bank account, and didn't really have any idea how to market. So I had to learn Google ads, Facebook ads, and lucky enough it worked, but I ran out of money and had to work second job for 6 months before I started getting money, because my firm's no win, no fee, of course. There's been a lot of setbacks with the business. You have to learn a lot of things. You go through the practice management course at the College of Law or the QLS, and you learn the basics, but then you sort of forget, like practice management, trust accounts, and things like that. And through the last year and a half, I've learned marketing. I've learned accounting. I guess I've had that Bachelor of Business education, within the law firm from there. So I've had, a lot of learnings with that, a lot of frustrations with that, to be honest. I won't, sugarcoat that. And, also when you do get clients, and they don't sign with you and you lose out to your competitors, that's a big setback as well, being a startup. But right now it's flourishing. We're now over 165 files. I've got 2 consultants that run claims for me, and I'm interviewing next week for a paralegal to work with me. So it's good now, but there is a lot of sacrifice and setbacks when you start a business.
Yeah, and I think one thing I definitely take away from your story, whether it's moving to Sydney or continuing to improve on the business, is that you're just committed, you're resilient, you're persistent, whether it's applying for jobs, you're moving to Sydney, you're making that commitment. It's just, you have your goal in mind and you're just going after it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm always, I guess, I'm probably obsessed with hitting goals. And, if I was going to spend, $40,000, $50,000 on a law degree, I want to make profit on it, return on investment. So I did what I did to get to where I am. And with the business, it's still a 16-hour slog. I'm working most weekends, but now that I've got consultants giving claims to and files to, And, you know, in a paralegal, it'll start to set back now, and I'll be able to just, you know, sort of work a lot more on business development. But yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I just continue hitting the goals, and we've got big goals next year for the firm as well.
Yeah, and I guess now that the shoe's on the other foot and you are the employer, what can someone do to stand out to you when they are looking for a job?
Follow me up. The good thing, since I've just advertised in the last 3 weeks, I've closed my Seek ad now, but I've had 3 applicants that have followed me up. They've even called through and emailed me, and I've actually just spoken to them and got that, I guess, connection over the phone. And then when I look at their resume and see that they've had, although it's not in TPD, you know, which is what everyone really looks for. They always look for somebody that has experience within their area of law. I am going to give these people interviews because they persisted, and that's the determination and passion that I like, which is what I sort of have in my own way of how I went through law school and got to where I am today, was, you know, passion and determination. So they get an interview next week. And, you know, that's what I think people can do to make themselves stand out. Also address their cover letters to Warren, you know, instead of the employer. And also research your law firm and your area of law, and on your cover letter to write something that you sort of, you know, may or may understand about the area of law that you're looking at applying into, because then it shows that you may have some knowledge about the area, if that makes sense. So that's what I sort of look for now.
Yeah, and they're all obviously great points. You know, the personal touch, the continuing to follow up, persistence and determination. And that really, I guess, shows through when you do make those extra efforts that people actually go, oh, you know, he's actually keen. He wants to work in this area.
Yeah. Shows to me that they're motivated, and if you bring them in, you know, just like a young Warren, be motivated and to learn and to work hard.
Yeah. I guess I'm coming towards the end of this interview now. So what advice would you have for someone who wants to take up a legal career?
The biggest advice is to make a lot of contacts, I guess, on LinkedIn. Start talking to other lawyers, law firms about their experiences. Do what you're doing. It's great. You know, you're getting yourself out there on LinkedIn and chatting to other lawyers. Also, just really apply and really be diligent with your cover letter as well, and follow up and persist. If you really think at law school, if you really have that, you know, interest in a particular area of law, don't hesitate to, send a message on LinkedIn to a partner or a small law firm owner that works in that particular area, because I'm sure that, you know, at least 50 or 60% of them will probably reply or have a coffee with you. As you know, we're all a collegiate era, you know, people, and I'm always open for that, and have done that a couple of times this year as well with young students. And if you're really passionate about it, ask if you can do some volunteer work experience as well to get that on the resume, because I know that works. And if you can, you know, get that work experience, the person that you're working for at the law firm may give you some, you know, letters to write or a file to review and get your opinion on it, you know, and things like that, which gives you the world of experience.
Yeah, that's such great points. In particular, though, obviously, just messaging people in the legal profession. And that's, I guess, one thing I've really tried to emphasize with this podcast is that it's so simple. Like, I haven't met you, but I've just sent you a message saying, do you want to chat sometime? I'd love to hear about your story. And it's literally that simple. And a lot of us are up for a chat or a coffee or, you know, some advice even.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we're all on each other's side, if that makes sense. You know, and in terms of, you know, helping people try to get to where they want to go in their legal career.
Yeah, and as I said again, such great advice. And I guess to finalise the interview now, I've got 2 stumpers for you. If you weren't a lawyer, what do you reckon you would be? And what's something you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Yep. If I wasn't a lawyer, I would probably be a boring bank person, mate. I guess I wouldn't have made that move. but in my dreams, want to be an NBA player, So that would be something that I'd really love to be if I wasn't a lawyer. But that's a bit past my time now, and I wasn't that good anyway to start with. But I'd probably be in banking still. And the other question, what was the other question? Sorry.
What's something you know now that you wish you knew back then when you first started?
The law degree, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I really, I wish that I knew that getting experience straight away, even while you were enrolling in law school, is relevant. If I was to go to a prospective partner and say, look, I'm applying to law school, can I get some work experience? Then that would definitely be something that I would give advice to. Start researching, what it takes to be a lawyer and what you need to do and what other people think as well. And also learn civil procedure and pretty well, ethics, and evidence as well. Obviously, I believe that those subjects are quite relevant within lawyers generally. The rest, I mean, they're all theoretical. If you don't practice in that area, you'll never see it again. But definitely that.
Yeah, and that's very true about the experience early on, and I've heard it multiple times from multiple people, is that get your hand up, put your hand up for everything, get in where you can, because as soon as you start doing that, you learn what you like, what you don't like, where you want to kind of move your career towards.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Righty, well, thanks so much for jumping on and giving us your time today. If people want to get in chat or get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can just go onto my LinkedIn and add me and message me, or they can send me an email to warrenbennett@wkblawyers.com.au.
All right, well, it's been a pleasure chatting to you and hope to keep in contact.
You too, mate. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to the Young Lawyer Podcast. If you found this content useful or enjoyable, make sure you share it with your family, friends, or colleagues. Let's grow the Young Lawyer community. If I can ask you a huge favour, can you please leave a review or a comment on iTunes and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that way we can grow the community even further. Until next time, guys.